Welcome to the Rising Society podcast. My name is Shane Kennedy, and my ancestors hail from the two greatest islands of the world, Cuba and Ireland. And I'm joined tonight with Nico, and this is our first one. This one will be pre-recorded, but we're hoping that the next one will be live. Okay, so I'm drinking coffee, and I've also got some water here. I promise this is not vodka because this is Lent.
Nice, very nice, Shane. I love it. My name's Nico. I am known as the Rejected Gentleman on all social media platforms, and I do sales consulting for a local business. I won't name it.
Well, and I do sales and web development, and we'll just leave it at that.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. Now, but before we started, we were talking about bugs.
Yes, we were.
And we were talking about how all these benevolent people like Bill Gates and people like Joe Biden and people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And of course, we cannot forget Klaus Schwab, who loves us dearly. They want us eating bugs.
100%.
Yeah, they want us to not get protein from plants. Well, actually, yes, they do want for you to get protein from plants exclusively, but the thing they don't want you getting protein from are animals and animal products. So what they want us doing, if we're not willing to make the transition all the way to plants, what they want us doing is getting all of our protein from bugs. So
100%. I agree with you. I think that's why they're taking small moves. If you look at like even the price of eggs and stuff like that, all the videos they have and all the people that are documenting, they're like going on to those places, they're literally paying people just to like throw their eggs away. The egg farmers, the people with the chickens, and I think that's why they're just going to skyrocket that stuff. So only the wealthy can afford it.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're mass killing off poultry in the country,
100%.
And at the same time, they're investing in and they're building out this insect farming industry. And they're not just building out an insect farming industry, but they're building out an insect, wait for it, dairy industry. And that by far, I'd have to say that's my favorite thing that they're doing, and it's the most horrific thing I think they're doing because no lie, and there's an article from December of last year, from December of 2022, that talks about cockroach milk being a superfood.
It's disgusting.
And, the thing is, obviously, cockroach milk is disgusting. I will not be drinking cockroach milk. I will not be consuming cockroach cheese. I will not be consuming cockroach protein. I won't be consuming any of it. I will not be. But the thing that I find the most interesting is not the cockroach dairy products themselves, but the concept of milking a roach.
How does one milk a roach? How's that process? Do you know?
Well, so the article, this one was not in Healthline. I forget where this article was from, but they were actually talking about the roach dairies, and they were saying that they actually feed the roaches chemicals that make them lactate, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, so it makes the milk, so it makes the roaches produce milk. Well, roaches do not produce liquid milk. Roaches produce crystallized milk.
Like naturally? Like when they're running, I know they leave like that dust behind them. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That could be their little form of
is
powder
there
milk
in there? As well?
Maybe. I'll bet if you go to the Gates compound up in Washington, you'll probably find a lot of little milk crystals. Now I'm sure Bill Gates. Now I could be wrong. He's probably not consuming the milk powder, milk protein, cockroach milk powder, cockroach milk protein and stuff. He's probably just consuming it from regular cows like humans do. Mm-hmm. But I guess the thing that interests me the most is, what would a roach dairy sound like? And the only thing I can imagine is a very low level shrieking, like the ring wraiths in the Lord of the Rings movies. That high pitched shrieking that. But the thing is, it would be this very, very low. It would be a very hard to hear sound, but
yeah, but there'd be like millions of them, right?
Yeah, so it would be like a very quiet symphony of shrieking, And I'll bet you anything, people that are on gummies and stuff would probably be able to pick up on it very, very easily. But or people on Adderall or whatever would probably be able to hone in on it.
Wait, what do you mean? Like they're not sitting in like individual little stalls, just being like utter like. So they just run around, and that's what I'm asking. Is the like the crystals in the dust, and they just collect that shit? Or?
They're probably just the roaches are probably just crawling on top of each other and just like dropping milk crystals.
Yeah, it's got to be. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be like something they could. Well, how did they?
They probably just brighten up the lights in the room. All the roaches scurry away into a dark room.
How do you separate it from like all the roach feces? Like,
well, I'm sure there's an acceptable amount of roach feces that people like Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, and all of them will be comfortable with existing in the milk.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
But it's all you got to do it for the cause. I mean, you got to take one for the team. Not them, but you
and I got to take one for the team.
Yeah, you and I need to take one for the team.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
And then there was an article that kind of struck my fancy earlier, and it was talking about the insect farming and stuff, about the insect dairies and things that they're building around the country. But it was from a different angle, an angle that I had never really thought about before. I guess it's kind of obvious. They were saying that the article, it was asking a question. It was from Wired.com. It was asking the question: are these insect dairies and insect farms, are they cruel? Are they being cruel to the insects?
Like, are they morally ethical?
Yeah. And so, but the interesting thing to me is it's not necessarily the question of is it ethical or moral toward the bugs. Is it moral or ethical to try to force poor people to eat bugs when they don't want to eat bugs?
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me play devil's advocate for a minute. If these products were available on the market at a much lower cost, like they're going to be, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. You're saying you wouldn't even try them?
No.
Free will, like they're not forcing. They're not like outlawing meat for like the ozone layer or anything like that, like methane. They're not.
Well, they're trying to.
No, I know. I'm saying let's change it up. Different world, right? Parallel world here. This is just a secondary product on the market. Like I know in South America, like hamsters. It's not mainstream, but I know there's parts in South America where you can get like hamster meat. You wouldn't try hamster?
They call it key in South America. Yeah.
Oh, you tried it?
No, I've never tried it.
Would you try it?
I can tell you this. I'm not all that open to trying it, but I'm not. But it's something that I'm not going to say I definitely will not try that. But I'm just not. I'm not very open to it.
Okay.
But I can tell you this. I'm not open to eating roaches.
Okay.
And I'm especially not open to drinking milk that was lactated from a roach.
No, I hear you. Okay, so like I said, parallel universe, we got a secondary market, right? Mm-hmm. And you have cricket patties. You're not trying one?
So first of all, it's really interesting that you brought that up because Trader Joe's actually sells cricket patties.
I know, I saw them.
Oh.
That's why I brought this up.
Okay.
I'm saying, would you try it? Because I'll buy them. No, okay. No, I will not buy them.
No, so it's kind of interesting. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with a good friend, and we were talking about raising poultry. We were talking about chicken farming, talking about egg farming and stuff. And neither one of us are poultry farmers, chicken farmers. I really don't know much about raising chickens. Now you've done it before.
I have, yeah.
But it's something I really don't have any experience with. But we were talking about chicken feed in particular, and I think a lot of these bug factories and things, I'd be okay with them creating chicken feed out of the bugs to feed to the chickens because, chickens naturally like to eat bugs and stuff. So the thing is, I'd be open because chickens are below me on the food chain. Mm-hmm. Chickens eat bugs. I eat chickens. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Chickens eat bugs. Chickens lay eggs. I'll eat the eggs. Fine with that. But
so as long as you're not directly consuming the
exactly,
bugs.
yeah.
If it's a secondary form, because that's what chickens eat. Like I had a lot of chickens. Mm-hmm. And I know you probably. It
I-
probably looks like
I remember
you
them
raise
well.
chickens and I don't. But I
But
did.
it's kind of ironic
Flipped around.
that I look like I've raised chickens, but I never have.
No.
In fact, I have very few times in my life have I ever actually been around live chickens.
Oh yeah, I've raised chickens. I did cattle. You know that.
Yeah.
We dehorned them, wormed up, neutered them. I've done it all. But when it comes to it,
Rancher.
rancher. Yeah. That's right, rancher. Not a farmer, a rancher. Yeah. But when it comes to it, as long as you're not directly consuming it, because like I'm sure that you've bought worms to go fishing, right? Mm-hmm. And the fish eat the worms. And then I'm sure you've been camping where you guys filleted the fish on spot and ate it, right? Yeah. So as long as you're not directly consuming it, but I know where we're going with this, and I get it. But like I said, I just want to hone in one more time. If this was an affordable secondary product that, let's say, we could help, if there was a food shortage in America, and this could help it, you'd be opposed to it. You wouldn't want people to have the option of, like, that's capitalism, right? Like if they have the option at a low cost product,
Well,
like
I'm going
Quick Burgers.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and nip that one in the bud right now, Nico.
Okay, yeah.
Because what you're talking about is, there's just suddenly a food shortage. It's just like we wake up one morning and there is no food shortage. Then we wake up the next morning and there suddenly is.
Let me promise you,
what happened?
That's exactly how it's going to go too.
So I guess the thing I'm saying is, all the resources that these psycho people are putting into raising bugs and creating the bug dairies and everything.
Yeah.
I think those resources should go into raising actual food that's fit for human consumption instead of raising food that's fit for subhuman consumption.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Let me play devil's advocate, because I think it's going to be more my role here. What do you say to? So you want healthy options, right? Because I know you. You're really healthy. Like when it comes to food, you're much healthier than I am when I make my decisions in the aisles. So you eat like grass-fed beef and stuff. I know you do. I've seen you buy it. How do you do that on a mass scale for human consumption? How do you get away from the conglomerate? What do you call it? Conglomerate farming? It has a word.
Oh, factory farming.
Like factory farming. Thank you. Like factory farming. How do you make it so we can actually raise mass, so we can get it to the masses on a healthy level like that?
Well, it's going to come down to bringing back local agriculture. And the problem is in America, the average age of a farmer is something like 59 and a half or 60. Mm-hmm. That's not sustainable.
No.
What the powers that be keep on encouraging us to do, and by powers that be I mean like policymakers and stuff, they're for years and years and years they've been telling kids, if you want to grow up and become a farmer, if you want to grow up and go become a plumber or something like that's an okay job, but those people are kind of primitive. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to be primitive, do you? They tell you to go and get a degree from a university, and I don't know, like a degree in history, like is one of the degrees I have, a degree in economics, which I have, or they might even tell you to go and or they might even tell you to go and get a degree in something like I don't know, like art history or something like that. Which
you're trying really hard not to say women's studies.
How did you know? Well, the thing, I just don't want to come off as being insensitive.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So you came off as being insensitive.
We're all inclusive on this podcast. Yeah, 100%.
Well, I guess what I would say is that a women's studies degree is equally as useful as a history degree is.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are degrees that are really good to be an armchair expert, mm-hmm. but really beyond that, you're not going to be able to go and wild forage for food or raise chickens or be a rancher, be a farmer, whatever, using the skills that you learned in college from your history degree, economics degree, or your women's studies degree.
And they don't have a lot of real world practicality when it comes to asking what flavor ice cream I want at your job. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because these people, they're either going to be a barista. No, I should stop there. Never mind. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of degrees out there. We force kids towards that kind of path, and yeah.
Well, and the problem is that they've told students, go to college, get a 4-year degree, and then the job will be waiting for you whenever you come out. Well, that's not the way it's panned out. And that's not the way it's going to pan out. And so to kind of circle back, we need more people that are going to go into farming. We need more people that are going to go into jobs where you're producing and you're expanding the material goods that are available to all of us, right? So, yeah. But I think that's the only solution to the whole bug farming thing, because these crazy people like Schwab and Gates and all of them, I'm picking on them, but there's a lot of other people beyond them that are trying to push this garbage.
No, absolutely. Let me ask another question, because like I said, I want to kind of speak for like the opposite side as if they were here at the table with us. So okay, so let's say we do that, right? We start getting enough farmers. We start pushing kids toward the trades, because it would be more advantageous for them, financially. So we got that going. How do you make enough food for metropolitan areas like Miami, New York, LA, Jacksonville, Houston? How do you make it enough to truck that stuff in on a fresh level? I mean, because if you and I've talked, off podcast about this. Okay, so they're gonna have fresh herbs at restaurants, stuff like that. How do you get around that stuff?
Well, I don't really think there's any. I don't think there's one particular solution. I think it's going to be a whole bunch of solutions. One of them is going to be rolling out hydroponics, aquaponics, aeroponics. For people that don't know what those are, simply put, it's where you're growing plants without soil, and the plants are the plant's roots are exposed to a nutrient solution, to a water that has the nutrients in it. It could be dissolved in a chemical form, like chemical fertilizers, or it could be in the form of fish poo. And the fish poo would be converted by bacteria that live in the system. You know how we always hear the word probiotic?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the system would have probiotics in it, would have beneficial bacteria that would actually convert the fish poo into usable nutrients for the plants. So in that case, and that's called aquaponics, in that case, you would end up having a whole bunch of a harvest. You wouldn't only have the fresh herbs and leafy greens and tomatoes and stuff like that. You would also have a whole bunch of fish that you would produce, healthy animal-based protein in addition to your vegetables. So I think that's one solution. But really overall, I think it's going to be bringing food production as close to the population centers as possible, and utilizing technology. That's one of the things. There was an economist, not to sound too boring. There was a psychoeconomist in the 1800s named Thomas Malthus. He was British, I think. Psycho, and he believed that the limit of the world's population, that the world could only sustain, it was like, I think he said that the world would only sustain like 50 million people or 100 million people or something like that, or maybe it was 1 billion.
He was off a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and the world population now is what, like almost 6 or 7 or 8 billion or something like that.
I think it's close to 8 billion.
Yeah. And Thomas Malthus is the economist that a lot of these World Economic Forum people and all of them, they all look up to him.
Oh yeah.
They all look up to him as being like their intellectual granddaddy.
Well, that's the thing. Did you see that one? I don't remember where it was, so I'm just kind of pulling this off. I watched this video, and I don't know where it was. A gentleman that was obviously elected, and he was talking to a what do you call it? People on the world, like they do
peasant.
No, well, Jesus, no, they do like the stuff with global warming and stuff. What do you call them? The
peasant.
Okay, yeah. So she's talking to this peasant.
Activist. Is that what you mean?
She's like a scientist of some sort, though. I don't remember what they're called. I don't remember the exact word. But anyway,
we can just say peasant.
Yeah, so they're doing like a panel, right? They're all sitting up there. And he asked her, he reads this report, and he was like, in this report, I just want you to tell me everything you agree with, basically. And he's going through it, and he goes, in the next 20 years, that the ice caps will melt by like 70%. And I'm just picking these numbers out of my ass. And he's like, the polar bear population will plummet to like 32%, something like that. We won't be able to hunt the walruses or some shit. They'll all be gone, and just all this crazy stuff. And she's like, yeah, all that sounds, very realistic on the path that we're on. And he's like, well, this was written in
1990 or
1990, like 1902 or some shit. And she just looked like, that's what they do. They use fear mongering to push these objectives on us, and to circle.
Ain't like that the way it goes?
Yeah, to go full circle once again, back to our original topic. I think that's what they're going to do with food. If you notice, no one's talking about it because we're talking about eggs now. But remember, like, magically 3 of the biggest chicken farms in the country just burnt down.
Yeah.
How long ago was that? It's been like a year now, right?
I think it was about a year. Yeah.
Yeah. And before that, even like right after COVID, we went through the COVID shock. There was like weird stuff happening with all these big things. Not to be like conspiracy theorists, because conspiracy theorists.
We just had a lot of bad luck over the last 3 years.
Yeah, just a lot of really bad luck, I guess. And that's where they're going to push us. And I promise you, they will try to convince us. It's like, I'm going to use an example real quick, Shane. It's like when you and I talked. In no